How's it going, everybody? Hope we're all doing alright today. Happy spring solstice. It's the first day of spring today, and I am back out in my shorts. Oh man, so happy it's spring. One season away from my favourite season of the year, summer. But yeah, back with a brand new video today. Today is just going to be a bit of a chilled out video, sat by the fire, rambling through my stomping grounds, and I want to talk a little bit about a believed to be extinct creature that might still exist. And I'm talking about the Megalodon, which is the largest shark that was believed to ever exist on planet Earth. Is it still out there? Let's have a little talk about it. Just a couple of little side notes before we get into today's topic. It looks like next weekend, weather permitting, I'll definitely be getting to go wild camping. Obviously I'll be taking you guys along with me. It's going to be a top weekend, and obviously it helps that it's my birthday on the Sunday. Obviously we'll get there on Saturday and have a good day exploring. And then yeah, what a way it'll be to wake up on my birthday surrounded by nature. But yeah, hopefully that's going to go ahead, and obviously I'll be making a video, so yeah, that should be really cool. Hopefully one day this week, sort of in between being at work, I'm hoping to get out for a little bit with my dad and my sister again, and we're probably going to make another video, which it will be similar to what we did a couple of weeks ago when we went to Beacon Fell, and you know, we were just taking the mickey out of stuff. So if you like that, then that is probably what we will do. So yeah, if people did enjoy that video, I wanted to see more of it, just, you know, leave a comment if you want. So then, the Megalodon Autodunda or something like that. I think that's the Latin name. I'm going to check that out. Yeah, the largest shark that ever existed. There's lots of very iconic images out there on the internet. You have to do a quick Google search, and you know, they believe that the mouths of these creatures were, you know, about 10 foot tall. It's just, you know, you can't fathom it. And there's like pictures of like a group of scientists stood inside of the jaw, just to give you an idea of how big these creatures were. Yeah, they evolved during the early Cretaceous period of Megalodon, and the paleontologists and, you know, evolutionary zoologists and all the rest of that believed that they diverged off from the great white family and became their own genus. You know, so early Cretaceous period, it's about 100 million years ago, which, you know, a long time is that? Obviously. And they, you know, they just dominated the seas for all that time. They didn't go extinct, it's believed, up until about 2 million years ago. So for all that time, the Megalodon was the ruler, the undisputed ruler of the ocean, had no natural predators. It was the top of the food chain, could eat anything that it wanted. You know, it's like evolution at its pinnacle. You know, we've touched upon this before about crocodiles and sharks, how they have remained largely unchanged for the time that they've been on the planet. And it's because it's the old saying, if it's not broken, don't fix it. And it's the same with animals like that. They are so well evolved and so equipped with the right tools, they've no need to change, and they stick around on the planet for a long time. But what ultimately did the Megalodon in was the start of the Ice Age, because obviously the predominant fossil remains have been found in sort of the southern hemisphere waters of the world. That's where all the teeth seem to wash up. So scientists believe that this was like a tropical species, that it preferred warm waters. But obviously, as the ocean began to cool down, when the Ice Age begun, the whales that the Megalodon fed upon all migrated north, because obviously they had, you know, very blubbery skin and they could withstand extreme cold temperatures. Ultimately, Megalodon lost its main food source, and the rest is history. Bon voyage. The Megalodon went extinct. Now, the Megalodon, you know, is a fascinating creature to me. Obviously, you know, I've spoken about this many times on this channel. You know, animals are my main passion in life. You know, and I keep a lot of reptiles, and, you know, I have a lot of pets at home and things like that. But, you know, Megalodon, you know, and a sort of extension of that, sharks in general just fascinate me. And, you know, Jaws is one of my favourite films. You know, first time I saw Jaws, like properly, I was about 10, and it just blew my mind, you know, and that was it. My lifelong obsession with sharks begun. You know, I've spoken about it briefly before, how when I was 20, I was lucky enough to go to South Africa for 3 weeks to work on a game reserve. And one weekend we went down to the coast. Make it sound something casual. We went down to the coast. We went on a trip to, I can't remember the name of the place now, but it was like halfway across the southern Cape of Africa. It wasn't quite to Cape Town. And we went cage diving with great whites, which was just, to this day, the best day of my life, because it was my childhood dream. You know, so I've seen great whites up close, and the way I always explain it to people is, you know, these great, big, massive 2-ton, 6-metre long fish, you know, the speed they move at when you see them in person, your brain can't keep up with something that is that big and it moves that quickly, and you're almost going to shock, because it's just no way. Like, you know, in a one-to-one situation, they just take you out. You wouldn't stand a chance. You know, and again, great whites, they're the respective apex predator of their ecosystems, just like the Megalodon was back in the day. You know, so yeah, with all that sort of interest I have in sharks, it does raise the question, when you look into the topic, is Megalodon still out there? Because there's been some very, very interesting eyewitness reports and sightings and things like that that have been going on for a long, long time, of gargantuan sharks, you know, sharks' fins, dorsal fins that are seen popping out of the water that are 6 foot tall, you know what I mean? And a great white's fin, I guess, is about 1.5 foot maybe. Obviously the great white is the biggest predatory fish that we know of, that is in the ocean. Bear in mind, we touched upon this when we spoke about the Loch Ness Monster a couple of months ago. Only 8% of the ocean has been discovered. There's a lot still down there, and it's stuff that we will probably never fully discover either, because of course, you know, 75% of the world is ocean, and we can't be there all the time. So, like I say, it becomes an intriguing idea. Is the Megalodon still out there? Just on my way to do a bit of a firewood run, but we shall continue talking about the Megalodon. So obviously, if the Megalodon was to still exist today, the first things first is that there would have to be a good enough food source to sustain a breeding population. Obviously, there's a lot of species of whales that, you know, still exist on the planet. You know, there's the blue whale, which is the largest animal that's ever existed. You know, there's humpbacks, there's sperm whales, there's baleen whales, you know, giant squids, which are actually a thing. They do exist. There's a specimen of one in the Natural History Museum. And interestingly enough, been a lot of whales that have seen over the, you know, history of documented zoology that have great big scars and bite marks on their bodies. Where have they come from? You know, they've not caught themselves right down deep in the ocean, have they, on coral or rocks or, you know, underground, you know, subterranean caverns or things like that. It's either going to be a mob of, you know, a large predatory fish, maybe a mob of great whites have tried to have a pop at them, or it's something else, you know. So yeah, there's got to be enough food, and obviously there's got to be places for them to hide, because of course, well, not necessarily hide, but there's got to be places for them to live. One very popular theory that I think might have some weight is that they're down maybe in the Mariana Trench, which is, I think, the deepest point on the planet. I could be wrong there. There might be something deeper. But yeah, you know, it's a very sort of barely explored place. Could hide secrets maybe. There's something lurking down there. So it would be right if I made a video about the Megalodon and I didn't bring a few little artifacts up here with me, shall we say. Like I say, I'm massively interested in sharks, and I've got a modest collection of shark teeth. Either they be from sharks that are alive today or fossil shark teeth from sharks that existed millions of years ago. And I've got a couple of Megalodon teeth. I've acquired them through years of collecting fossils. So I thought I'd bring them up and show you them. So this is what would be sort of a small Megalodon tooth. And by today's standards, this is sort of how big a great white tooth is, just to give you an idea of scale. It's a little bit, obviously, blunt at the top of it, but it's still a beautiful specimen. And then a little bit bigger, got this one, which, you know, if you look carefully, if the camera picks it up, you can see the serrated edges, but again, very, very blunt, because obviously it's millions of years old as this. And sharks have serrated teeth, and they essentially act as like steak knives. So when they bite into the blubbery flesh of, let's say, a seal, the more they shake around, you know, they don't even really have to bite that hard. The teeth are that sharp because of the edges. It just minces the flesh up, and it does the job for the shark, and inevitably the prey item will just bleed out. And it's fair to assume Megalodon was probably the same as well. So, you know, like for size comparison, obviously this is like the small tooth, as I said, and this one, I always call it like my medium-sized tooth. But really, it's not that much bigger. It would be a little bit more impressive if it didn't have this part of the gum missing. But, you know, hey-ho. You know, it is what it is. And then, obviously, I said small, medium. That implies there's one more. This is, I wouldn't say a fully grown Megalodon tooth. I've seen them bigger than this. But this is the biggest one I've got. And, yeah, it's one of my absolute prized possessions is this. You can actually see serrated edges a lot better on this one now that I'm actually looking at it. But, you know, like, to give you an idea for scale, you know, like, obviously it's nearly as big as my hand, you know, and yeah, just imagine 2,000 of these bad boys inside of a jaw that was, you know, 6 foot in height. There's just nothing that's going to be able to compete with that, is there? So yeah, like I say, these are all my Megalodon teeth. and I just wanted to show you guys, just to kind of give you a bit of a visual example of what this creature was like. So I think I'm just going to conclude now, because my phone battery is rapidly dying. Do I think the Megalodon still exists today in 2021? Zoologically speaking, I would say it's unlikely, personally. I think if the Megalodon continued to be the ruler of the oceans as it was for 60 million years, well, even longer still than that, 100 million years, it would have greatly affected our sort of evolution and our progression to become, rulers of the planet, essentially. Because if there was, tens of thousands of these things swimming around back in the day when we started to migrate out of Africa and across the oceans, we wouldn't have made it, because obviously, Megalodon would have just come and bloody swallowed the whole raft whole. So, but obviously, if we're talking paranormal and cryptozoologically, if people say that they've seen enormous sized sharks, like whale sized sharks, they've seen them, I believe in fairies at the end of the day, so who am I to argue with someone if they say that they've seen a megalodon? If there's experienced, seasoned fishermen, trawlers, things like that, the military who are down in the subs, down in the deep depths, if they say that they've seen them, who've seen unusual, living creatures on their sonar that don't match up to anything else that they would see normally, then, it's Megalodon, isn't it? But yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm currently being blinded by the smoke coming up my fire. Yeah, leave a comment if you want, if you think that the Megalodon is still out there, or if it's not. I'd love to hear your thoughts as always. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you in a couple of days' time. But until then, I hope everybody has a nice day, and everybody's well and healthy and all the rest of that. And I'll see you all further on down the road. Bye bye.